You don't have me as a co-host.
Hi there, everybody. This is Tony Variant, and today we're going to be taking action on what we learned last month, which was about your rights as a person with hearing loss. And we learned quite a few things. I'm going to do a very short review of some of the important things that were covered. But I'm not going to do the whole presentation. Okay. Before I do that, I need to all right, come on up here. Slideshow from the beginning. I am going to share my screen. Okay, so you can see the screen. Let me get rid of that. This meeting is recorded, and I'll be posting it on our chapter's YouTube channel. Next, Alan Kitsura is here, and he's available if you're having a problem with your microphone or your video or anything like that. If you could chat with him, use the, let's see here, use the chat function that's in your toolbar at the bottom. Also notice you can turn on the captions if you'd like to see them. So this is a disclaimer. HLAA does not endorse any single product or service. And this meeting is intended to provide information, education, and support. Rocky Stone is our founder, and I just wanted to do a little excerpt from his book, The Invisible Condition. This is the most pervasive physical handicap in America today is an invisible condition, hearing loss. Because it's invisible, it affects us in varying degrees of severity. The ability to deny is enhanced. The smaller the loss, the more we are, or our parents, are able to deny it or conceal it and to delay efforts to cope. They delay efforts to cope, to face the facts that adjustments must be made. So the greater the loss, the more we are, or our parents are, compelled to recognize it and do something about it. And so here you are right now, doing something about it. We do have a sponsor. Caption Call is our sponsor, and we want to thank Caption Call, providing captioned telephones for landline, for cell phones, and for iPads. And it's really great because all of those will save the captions for you after the call. So if you get a phone number and address and you see it and it's right, it'll save it for you. You can go back and check it. I just want to say, too, that next month, in the month of March, Caption Call will be presenting. And they have a new product, new app that will work with the iPad and the cell phone. And this app will caption both sides of the conversation. So we will have a representative who will come and talk to you about that. Okay. You don't get to see her, but Caption Call actually pays for our CART provider. CART stands for Computer Assisted Real-Time Translations. You also have heard it as captions. So she is behind the scenes right now. You see her name on the screen, Captioner Joe. But here's a picture of her. And right now she is in Illinois. So she is visiting us, even though she has the Golden Gate Bridge as her background. Anyway, that's Joe. And we thank you, Joe. All right. The Mission Viejo chapter is a 501c3 exempt chapter. Tax deductions are available depending on your tax status, and we appreciate it. We do have expenses, and we just appreciate your support. So the chapter is all volunteer. No one is paid. There's no compensation of any kind. And so we depend on you for your support. And you can donate online on our website at HLAAMV.org. So this is me. This is my email address, my phone number. You can text me or call me. I prefer a text if you know how to do that. You can follow us on Twitter and you can follow us on Facebook. We're there. Okay, that's the end of that. So I want to do something a little bit differently today. We just have a few people here. We had a lot of people, over 20 people sign up. We don't have 20 people here, but I'm so glad that you're here. It's a little cold today. And I was going to ask Captioner Joe, how cold was it in Illinois?
We are having a very mild winter. It's almost 50 degrees here, but we're all waiting for the other shoe to drop because this is very unusual weather in February.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. And so this is Laguna Woods, and right now it's 54 degrees. It's a little chilly for me. So, Alan, what's the weather like where you are in Northern California?
For me, it's comfortable, but for most people around here, it's probably a little bit on the chilly side. It's probably around 50 or a little bit over right now.
All right. So, Kathy Fairbanks, you're not that far away from Alan, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm in Oakland, and I just walked around Lake Merritt, and I had looked on the news beforehand, and it said, I think around what Alan said, around 50. It's supposed to be, I think it was 52, it said on the news today on the computer. And I think it was a little chilly. It was at least 52, but maybe even a little lower, I think, because there was a bit of a wind. And so it was chilly. But it's supposed to go up into the maybe low 60s, I believe, tomorrow and the rest of the week. So it'll be nice.
That'll be very nice.
Windy enough, it blew off my ball cap that I was wearing. And fortunately, I wear sometimes a headband around my hearing aids, so they won't blow off. But the cap actually blew off and almost went into the lake. So I typically wear this headband when I'm out walking. And it makes a big difference in making certain that my hearing aids, which are the over-the-ear type, work well and stay on.
Excellent idea. I've been wearing a knit cap, similar to a ski cap. And I find that I really, really like it. And when it's windy, I don't get that wind noise.
Good point. Yes, yeah. I noticed that as well. And I don't always wear a cap, but the kind you're talking about, the goes down, over your ears, or at least part of your ears, but that works well too. And I would recommend that as in addition, if not, or in as an alternative to a headband, if you're concerned about the wind or the sound. Makes a difference. Anyway, I'm so glad to be here today. I've continued to try to meet these meetings, and then I take back, in case there's nobody else from the East Bay chapter, which I'm the one of the newsletter editors on the East Bay chapter, and I love your webinars as well as the ones that we have. We had one last week, in which was, I think we had something like 50 between 50 and 60 people show up. It was on autotoxic medications that affect hearing loss, and it was excellent. And it is online still. You can go back. It was sent to people who were at the meeting, but some of you may not have been at the meeting. I think, Alan, you were at the meeting, weren't you? Yeah. And so be sure to, contact us if you want some follow-up on that.
Kathy, was that an in-person meeting?
No, it was on Zoom. It was on Zoom. We're still hoping to go back to an in-person meeting sometime soon, but Kaiser in Oakland, we used to have a free meeting room there each month, but we haven't had it since the pandemic, and they still haven't opened up their doors for meeting rooms, even though they take, medical appointments there. So we're hoping we can get there, but we may, in the alternative, go to, some other source if we can find something that will work well. But I think we've had a great turnout on the Zoom meeting, so we're hoping to do a hybrid, even if we go to in person. Thank you for asking.
Yes. Okay, Brenda, where are you located? Are you there, Brenda? Behind the scenes there somewhere. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay. I just wanted to say a few things that you may not be aware of. I like to say give some statistics every once in a while. California's population is 40 million people. 20% of any population can be considered to have a hearing loss. So we have 8 million Californians thought to have a hearing loss. That's a lot. Orange County population, that's where we are, is 3 million people. And so we've got about 600,000 people with hearing loss. Wow. Quick statistics that come from the National Institutes for Health reports that about 2% of adults age 45 to 54 have disabling hearing loss, and the rate increases to 8.5% for adults aged 55 to 64. Nearly 25% of those aged 65 to 74, and 50% of those who are 75 and older have a disabling hearing loss. Now, here in Laguna Woods Village, Social Services Department says the average age is 76. So that is actually.
I called a couple times and left messages about a problem with my scheduling, and I canceled one that was set for me that was the wrong time, and I'm trying to reschedule, but I can't do it online. So can you help me with that?
Okay.
It is 034-883-63.
Can you mute her mic?
Okay. I muted her. Yeah.
So you were saying social services has.
Yeah, social services says that we have the average age is 76. So if that's the case, And National Institutes for Health says 50% 75 and older have a disabling hearing loss. We have a lot of hearing loss here in Laguna Woods. So I just thought that was interesting. But I also think it's kind of sad that about 28 million US adults could benefit from hearing aids and don't wear them. So that's also from the National Institutes for Health. Okay.
Well, I think to add to that, Tony, is just in the past, it was the social stigma of hearing loss. And it was that hidden handicap that you talked about in the beginning. The technology is getting so good that you can, like a contact lens, wear them and nobody sees them, right? So I feel hearing loss is about 15 years behind vision, where people didn't want to be called four eyes or Coke bottle when they wore thick glasses. And then we got contact lenses. And now people wear glasses socially. They don't even sometimes have a lens in them, but they wear them because they look good on their face. So hearing aids are kind of getting to that. The younger population does not consider hearing loss a disability. They don't see that as a sign of being old. And I think part of it is because the technology is so good that now they walk around with AirPods and all kinds of things in their ears. So it's no big deal to see something behind your ear. So I am seeing more and more people doing things at a younger age, I think for two reasons. One is because the technology is good and it can be transparent. But the other part is that we are associating hearing loss with cognitive decline and cognitive processing and balance, and people want their best health. So they're willing to invest and do something earlier, even though we should have a national screening and we don't.
Well, I'll tell you, the first hearing aid company that puts something out that looks like iPhone earbuds, they are really going to get a lot of business.
Well, they already have that, but they have the ones that look like you're wearing something in your ears. But the problem with that is sometimes it's not socially acceptable to have those kinds of things in your ears, like so at a church service or something. So there's mixed reviews on that.
Exactly. Okay. So moving on, there's a few little things I wanted to review from January's meeting, and that is that there are laws and regulations in place called disability rights. We have some here in California, and probably better known to most people is the American Disabilities Act. And it was George Walker Bush that signed that in 1990. I actually have a film somewhere of that celebration or that signature. Hearing loss is not the same for everybody. When I was reading the little excerpt from Rocky's book, The Invisible Condition, we talked about mild hearing loss and how easy it is to enhance ignoring them. And then, but there's mild, there's moderate, there's severe, and there's profound. And then I'm going to talk about deaf and deaf. So there's deaf with a small d. And so that is somebody that has some hearing loss, but identifies as deaf. They may sign or they may not. And then there's capital D deaf. And those people generally grow up signing and they don't wear any hearing aids. So they're just literate in American Sign Language. So that's their life. And so that's capital D deaf. So we're not all the same. We have different requirements, and we need to find out what it is we need. And that was my point of where do we go now that we know that there is assistive technology out there. Let's review what's available and how to get it. The one thing I hear very often is through the 25 years that I've been working with people with hearing loss is they say that they can hear, but they do not understand. So there's a lack of clarity in what they're hearing. Okay, I thought I turned that off. So clarity is lacking. And some of the problems associated with and without hearing aids is background noise. So we have restaurant noise, shopping malls, retail stores, and box stores like Costco. It's just really noisy to me. We also have issues with reverberation. In Clubhouse 3, when I used to have my meetings, it's a very large room. We had a hearing loop, but the speakers would be on and I could hear the reverberation, and it was very difficult for people sometimes to hear. As a matter of fact, in Laguna Woods, a lot of the clubhouses are like that. And then the distance from sound is very important. Hearing aids are good for about 6 feet. And when you get beyond that arm's length or double arm's length, it fades away. So assistive technology is very helpful. And let me just show you my screen here. All right. So this is our website, the Hearing Loss Association of America Mission Viejo Chapter. And this is the assistive technology section here. And I pulled this up. It was a little slow for this assistive technology guide to come up. It's very heavy graphics, so I already have it up. And this is from Harris Communications, which is now known as Diglo, but I don't have their latest guide with their new name. So anyway, this is that. This is an excellent little catalog. You could call them. The phone number is the same. You can call them and ask them to send you a catalog. So there's a whole section on telecoils. There's a section in which I'm going to talk about telecoils in a minute. TV listening systems and home loop systems. I've told members that I have 3 hearing loops in my house. So in my office where I am now, I have a hearing loop. It's connected to my little TV. And I have one that's in my bedroom and one that's in my living room. They're all connected to my TV. And I have the hearing loop in the living room hooked up so that I could be in the kitchen and in the dining room and I could still hear it. I can wander all around. So they provide cell phone accessories, but what's really nice is that they have a lot of information and they discuss what everything is, how to identify it. So it's just an easy, okay. It's just an easy little guide that you can get just for calling and asking. 800-825-6758. So I did want to go into technology and talk a little bit about hearing loops. So a hearing loop is literally a wire. Oh, yes, Kathy.
Could you repeat that phone number?
Yes, 800-825-7858.
7858. Okay. Got it. Thank you for doing that.
Located in Minnesota, so they're in a different time zone, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to play this little video. It's very short. It's under about 3 minutes, and it helps to identify what a hearing loop is. Here we go.
This is a sign that means a world of difference for people with hearing loss. That's because any facility that has this sign also has a hearing loop. Hearing loops are widely regarded as the most effective, easiest to use, and most trouble-free assistive listening technology available. While most people with hearing loss have hearing aids, they do little to help them hear clearly in group settings. A hearing loop, however, sends clear, pure sound from a sound system directly to the user's hearing aid without any distortion or background noise. Now, the vast majority of hearing aids, whether old or new, already have what is known as a T-coil or telecoil built in, which just needs to be activated by a hearing professional to use a hearing loop. For example, here's what a typical group presentation sounds like to someone using just a hearing aid.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we're offering the following activities.
And here's what it sounds like to a hearing aid user with the help of a hearing loop.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we're offering the following activities.
Unlike other assistive listening systems that require headsets, hearing loops are the only solution that uses the unique tuning to each person's individual pattern of hearing loss and doesn't require any additional equipment. And as you just heard for yourself, the difference is night and day. You can easily find all hearing loop enabled venues near you by downloading the free Loop Finder app for your smartphone or by going to loopfinder.com.
I don't think they're doing that anymore. There are other ways to find out about hearing loops. This is courtesy of AutoJoy. They are hearing loop installers located in Arizona, but they travel anywhere they're needed. And you can hear there's a big difference when you're on telecoil in a setting. You hear very, very clear. And if you ever attended my meetings in person, you would experience that. This is another little example in a church with and without. Let's see here. Without. Okay. Wow. I didn't understand any of that.
Everybody, we are so glad you were able to make it here today to celebrate the occasion of the baptism of our son, Lars Maxfield. We have his godmother and godfather here visiting from quite a ways away, and we're gathered at St. Mary's, the Catholic Church of the Most Blessed Sacrament here in Oshkosh. And St. Mary's has quite a bit of reverberation.
All right, big difference. So basically, this is what it looks like. There's a wire around the room, and it's connected to the amplification system, the audio system, and the microphone is connected to the audio system. So anything that goes through the microphone is transferred. It's just like it's an induction loop. So the sound goes directly to the loop, which is attracted to your hearing aids, the telecoil in your hearing aids. And I use telecoil every day, and I just love it. This is a little, I'm not going to play this video, but this is a little sample of what it could be like in your living room to hook up a TV so that you don't blast out your neighbors. Here in Laguna Woods, we kind of live kind of close sometimes. And yes, so that's okay. So that is the looping system. And oh, I shouldn't have closed that. I wanted to spend a little more explanation about what a telecoil is. So this is the telecoil that is inside a behind the ear hearing aid. And you can see it's a little copper wire. And you can see how small it is compared to the size of a dime. So Anne, maybe you can tell me, it used to be at least 80% of hearing aids had a telecoil that came with the hearing aid, but a lot of people didn't know it because it wasn't activated. So is it still about 80% of hearing aids that will come with a telecoil?
Well, it depends if you're doing rechargeable or non-rechargeable hearing aids. So most of the battery operated hearing aids do have the T-coil in them. It's the rechargeable hearing aids that sometimes the T-coil is not put in. One, because of size constraints of trying to make it smaller. I've also been told it's about leakage between the lithium battery and the coiling of the T-coil. I don't know if that's accurate because Oticon has both a rechargeable hearing aid with a T-coil in it. So Widex just recently gave an addition to their behind the ear hearing aid that did not have a T-coil in it. So there are ways, and we'll talk about that later in the meeting, but there's ways to get the T-coil now. But I think that T-coil overall is kind of reviving a little bit. It's coming back.
I think the reason is because we have a lot of advocates that are advocating for hearing loops, and
well, I know that the Netflix building up in LA, that Rick just looped it, and there were about 80 offices that were looped. I think it has to do more with security, that the T-coil is not as susceptible to spillage or oversight or overhearing as it is with Bluetooth. So I think like a company like Netflix that is using the T-coil is doing it for privacy issues. So that might be something moving forward.
Okay, so there's a lot of information here about telecoils, and so you're welcome to check out the website. I do want to get another document here. Okay, this is pretty much for my Laguna Woods residents, is that since I've been here, I've done a lot to advocate for hearing loops in Laguna Woods. So there's one in the Laguna Woods Community Center in the boardroom. There's one in the PC Learning Center. So if you take classes, you could just turn on your T-coil and hear the instructor. We have one in Clubhouse 2 in the ballroom, and both the meeting rooms have hearing loops. The Performing Arts Theater, yay, is finally looped, yay. So that was the biggest problem, people really not hearing well in the theater. So, and then also in Dining Room 1 and Dining Room 2, they're both looped. And Clubhouse 7, this is where the PC Club meets there for their monthly meetings. And of course, there's other meetings that happen there. So that big room is looped. I now want to really talk to you a little bit about FM systems, radio frequency. And you can use those with telecoil. Yes, Ann? Oh, you're muted.
There we go. I wanted to ask if anybody has used the Performing Arts T-coil since it was installed, and what was their reaction to it?
Anybody use the? Nope.
I've had
here,
some,
not
yeah.
here. I don't know where Beverly is from, but
I've had some patients who have gone and said that it has worked well. Others said they didn't get that much benefit. So I wondered if it's where they sat, something to be aware of where you sit in the auditorium. And then, like in the classrooms, making sure that the T-coil is on with the microphone. So I wanted to ask you if that's on all the time, or does the presenter have to turn on the T-coil each class?
Okay, you're talking about turning on the hearing loop. So, because the T-coil is behind your ears, it's in your hearing aids. So the hearing loop is in the room.
Yeah, I understand. I transpose those words.
So but you know what, Anne? So many patients get that mixed up too. Okay, in dining room 2, in the Performing Arts Theater, there is an on-off switch. There was one renter in the room who did guitar practice, and he said the loop was a problem, and he needed it to be turned off. So Rick has an on-off switch, but they're not supposed to be turned off ever. And Laguna Woods has that instruction, and it should just be seamless. It should just be no maintenance. It's just on all the time. No adjustment from anybody working in the control room needs to be done. The only adjustment that needs to be made is the wearer, who will flip that switch, or if they use a remote control like I do, I turn it on. I have some controls on the hearing aids and on the remote control for a little bit of volume. Now, let's also talk about some problems that could be had. I'm going to say here in Laguna Woods, but it could be anywhere in the world, where they have a performer come in and they bring their own everything. They bring their own amplifiers, they bring their own speakers, they bring their own microphones, and they are not hooked up to the system in the room. And that's a problem. People cannot expect to benefit from listening in the loop in that case. And I know that there's a couple of clubs that have performances in the theater, and they bring their own everything. So they don't get plugged into the existing sound system. They bring their own sound system, unfortunately. I have to talk to them. Okay, so FM systems. See this little sign here, it says FM. And so you get a receiver that looks, this is one kind. This is listen up, listen. These are very well known, and you can use them if you don't have telecoil. You can use them with earbuds, bring your own, or you'll get a headset and it just plugs in. You turn it on and you adjust the volume. Now, if you have telecoil, you can use this FM system using your telecoil. And that's a little bit different. You need to use a neck loop. So there's a couple of different neck loops available on the market. This one you can get for free from California Phones. And it was created by California, not created, it was provided by California Phones for communication access. It's really, they have it there so you can plug it into your cell phone and get the benefit of a hearing loop. So, but you can also use it. You can also use it with an FM system. And it's still better than wearing a headset. So, okay. Now these are available in Clubhouse One, in the main ballroom, and in the art room. No, not the art room has the hearing loop. So then there's a loop listener. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the loop listener. So if you don't have hearing aids, or if you have hearing aids and don't have telecoil, you can use something. It looks like an FM system, but it's a loop listener, and you check it out at the ticket counter and in the Performing Arts Center, or the clubhouse manager supervisor has a device, a loop listener, and you can get headphones. So, anytime you're going to use headphones in the clubhouses, you can bring your own and just check out the device, and it might be more sanitary and cleaner for you. All right. So that's that. So that's the FM system, and there's one other system that we don't have here in Laguna Woods. We used to have it, but we've eliminated it now. It's infrared, and the only place I know that has infrared, I believe, is what's the name of the I can't remember the name of the theater. Very popular theater up in Costa Mesa. Anyway, whether or not you use hearing aids, when you need to, you can hear better. So by using a listening device or a hearing loop in a public place. And one of the questions I had asked in this reminder I sent out is, so where do you need to hear that you're not hearing? Is anybody here who has a place like in a museum or in church? We are actively trying to get St. Nicholas with a hearing loop, and if you are a parishioner at St. Nicholas Catholic Church, please say something to the council members and the father. It would be really helpful to get that done. Yeah. We have something in chat. We have any questions here? Okay. So Alan, you were saying spillover. There is a room in Rossmore. So he lives in the Rossmore Leisure World area. I don't think that, did they call it Leisure World, Alan? They just call it Rossmore.
Call it Rossmore.
Okay, because it used to all be in the same family. They can hear better in the restroom than parts of the meeting room. What about T-coil orientation in a hearing aid? And I know that in some cochlear implants, Cochlear America in particular has an issue with T-coil orientation. So in the cochlear implant, it's this way, and it should be this way. So they have a little device you can buy as an add-on But so I would imagine that all the telecoils are straight up and down, because if they're sideways, that will impact the quality of the listening. You'd have to do this to hear better. That wouldn't be much fun.
Right. The orientation should be vertical, not horizontal. So when they design the hearing aid, they need to place it in an upright position.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. I wanted to, let's see, we've finished. We also talked about, last month, we talked about the pocket talker, which is really good when you're in public and you're having a hard time understanding. It's just a one-on-one communication. You know, I don't know if anybody has I do. I have a suitcase that's packed as my go bag. So if there was an emergency and I needed to evacuate, I have a go bag. I've got hearing aid batteries, cochlear implant batteries. I have a pocket talker, which really works great with, like, say, if you wear hearing aids and all of a sudden you didn't have hearing aids for whatever reason, you lost them, or you can use a pocket talker to hear in communication. So that is, I recommend having something like that. There's also something that I happen to have here. It's called a super ear. So it's a personal listening device. It comes with headset, earbuds, a belt loop, and it's just a little device that amplifies sound. I bought this to take to my doctor's office, and I don't need it, but there's a lot of patients who struggle and don't have hearing aids, and this would be something that they could use. So that's called a super ear, and that's available at Harris Communications. It's also available on Amazon, amazon.com. So Alan says, does the orientation of the telco have anything to do with using for phone versus the hearing loop? You know, I think that the phone, and that's something that I rarely cover, but your telecoil is excellent for most phones. It used to be a law that the phone had to be T-coil compatible, hearing aid compatible. And I know caption call absolutely is compatible, but you can always move the phone receiver around. If you're using Bluetooth and a cell phone, there really shouldn't be an issue with that. I've never had an issue with that. The only issue I've heard about, Alan, is Cochlear America, and they may have corrected that with the latest cochlear implants. I haven't stayed up with theirs. I have a Med-L.
If somebody is using a standard phone with their hearing aid, make sure you do TT, telephone touching. The phone has to touch the hearing aid in order for the T-coil induction to happen. So, and you can move it around to find the sweet spot. But most of the newer phones with the fiber optics, instead of the old copper lines, do not have as good of reception with the T-coil. So just something to note.
So I asked you to provide some information. You have some, you sent me a couple of slides. So we're talking about hearing aid accessories that might be very beneficial. And let me bring up, just tell me when you want me to change the slide.
Well, what I will say is every manufacturer has their own personal microphone. So Phonak, Resound, Starkey, Signia, Oticon, Widex, they all have their own. Widex just came out with a new one that's called Sound Assist. So this is a device that can only be used with the RIC or the BTE models, and it has to be the Moment software. It is the personal microphone, but it has a gyroscope in it. So you can, if you place it vertically like that, if it was vertical up and down, you would have one green light at the top, and the microphone would know that you want it to be forward facing. So it would be picking up only the person in front of you. And if you laid it down on the table flat, next one, Tony, then all 4 lights will be green. You want to flip that picture, Tony?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, no, not that one. That one. Yep. Yep. There you go. All 4 lights are green. Then it's going to be like a table mic. It is not made for restaurants. It's not for noisy environments because the microphone has all 4 microphones on at the same time. It's basically for small dining room tables, Bible studies, conference rooms where you want to pick up multiple people speaking, but one person is kind of speaking at a time. It's not made for noisy restaurants. But Widex just introduced their version of this in the last couple months. With the rechargeable hearing aids, this also allows you to have a T-coil. So they do have a T-coil in that little unit. So if you have the rechargeable hearing aids from Widex, you now have T-coil access through that accessory. And then the other one that's available is the Oticon mic and the Connect clip. And that is their version of the same thing where you clip it on and you're picking up the person who's talking in front of you. It can also be, some people put these on like a TV when they're going to visit their children's houses or somewhere where you want to pick up sound. But just knowing, I'm sure most of you guys are, know that there are personal microphones to help with that signal to noise ratio.
Okay. I feel like I had something else to share. Whoops. I do have a list. If you would like it, I have a current list of Orange County loops. And so this is page 2 and here's page 1. There's several places, several churches that are looped. Thank goodness. That's a terrible place to hear anything. There's a lot of reverberation in a church. And so the hearing loop is so much better. If you would like to get a copy of this, you can let me know. You can text me at 949-614-5307, or you can email me at Tony, Toni, at HLAA.mv.org. Okay. And I'm really big on trying to loop worship centers. I just think it's so important because it's so difficult to hear in church, and so many people don't go to church because they can't hear, and that makes sense. So try to fix that. Okay, now, so where do you get these devices? First of all, the requirements provided in the rules, regulations, and laws that have been passed, the ADA, is that the public venue has to provide them for you. And generally speaking, they have a customer service desk, or it's at the ticket box. The theater I was trying to think of is Sedgerstrom. So I've been trying to get them to update their system, which is very, very poor. For me, I have to take the hearing loop and put it around my ears in order to get it to work. And there's a lot of people in the City of Orange chapter, same thing. Long Beach chapter, if they go to the Sedgerstrom, most of the people who really know something about T-coil and use it and depend on it have that issue at the Sedgerstrom. So, and they have a special podium that's in the lobby, the main lobby, where you can pick up a device. Here in Laguna Woods, in the theater, you can pick up a device to borrow in the ticket office, and in the other clubhouses, if you need a device, you need to find the supervisor or go to the office in that clubhouse and check one out. And generally speaking, they want to hold your Laguna Woods ID or your driver's license or your car keys so that you will return it. You don't leave the premises. Okay. Because it's not free to give. It's just free to borrow. Yes, Ann?
I have a patient waiting, so I wanted to ask if there were anybody who had questions for me before I have to sign off.
You know what? I'm so glad you asked, because the last two meetings,
I know, that's why I'm asking now, but the hour is up. And so I have a patient waiting. So I want to, if anybody's got any questions.
Okay. Nope.
We're all good?
I think we're good. I think we're good.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann.
Okay.
So Ann has been in her location now for 10 years, and she has been a audiology advisor for our chapter for about 11 years. And when we met in person, boy, she would come in and roll up her sleeves and help out, and she comes to the meetings. We really appreciate that. Okay. Is there anything that anybody would like to talk about? It doesn't have to be about assistive devices or loops. It could be about anything hearing loss related. I never did see Annette. And never saw Donann. I know you're there. Kathy?
Thanks.
Yeah.
For asking if we have any questions. I took a bunch of notes, but I couldn't catch your phone number and email in case I have any further questions. Or I'm going to share some of your info today with my chapter when we have our meeting this next Saturday, our steering committee or our leadership team meeting this coming Saturday. And they, particularly some of the people who set up, the hearing make sure the room or the, anyway, if we go back to in person, we want to make certain that people have all the things they need to be able to hear in the room. But could you give me your phone number and your email again and say it?
I'm going to put it here. It's on the screen.
Okay, I'll take a look at that then. Let's see.
So it's Tony at HLAAMV.org.
Okay, I have to get close because I have some eye situations going on too. So forgive me if I look like I'm peering into your room there. Okay. Just leave it on the screen for a bit.
949-614-5307. Okay. Well, I think this is a thank you for joining us. I'm sorry we got about 20 we've got another 10 people that didn't make it in. And but I am going to put this on a recording on YouTube, and I'll include it in an email to everybody. And so stay warm. It's windy here, so I'm having some allergy issues, windy little issues, and I hope you don't. All right.
Thank you so much, Tony. That was
It'll be caption call
interesting and helpful.
Okay, so it'll be caption call next month, showing a new app that will record conversations from both people on the telephone call. So that'll be very interesting. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.